I don't know what happened to Ryan on the beginning of this episode. He reached up as we were doing the countdown, and now he's gone. So I'm here today, Jason, coming at you with episode 46 of Fire Talk Radio. Today, we're going to be talking about some more student loan forgiveness. We have President Biden's speech that is very eerie and kind of reminiscent of V for Vendetta. The FBI caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and is Bank of America being racist? All that plus a special guest coming up on Fire Talk Radio.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to...
Hey, Ryan.
If it's not one thing, it's another. I moved my camera from one, but since I put my finger on the camera itself, it goes, "Oh, you're gone." I'm like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah. Technology's like that. So, Ryan, why don't you tell people how they can get a hold of us and introduce our guests? By the way, you guys can watch us streaming right now on Rumble. So, for future episodes, go to Rumble or go to our Facebook page.
All right. So this episode 46. I'm Ryan. That's Jason. Our special guest, Drew, from TikTok fame of real. Now I'm drawing a blank of his TikTok.
Well, it's okay. It used to be Real Drew Kaler. Now it's just Drew Breaks the News.
I was gonna say it's Drew Breaks the News.
Drew Breaks the
I
News,
do have one of your videos in our collection at the end of the episode. We always throw up TikTok videos that I find throughout the week. And one of them was yours. Actually, I think it was from today. So
I'm honored. Okay, cool. Well, very cool. I'm excited then.
All right. So again, this is episode 46. Check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Our email is firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Voicemail is 814-380-9820. All music provided by Psychostick. Check them out on YouTube. Check them out on tour. They're a great bunch of guys. Yeah, this is a slightly weird week because I was not expecting the speech from yesterday.
Nobody was.
Very ominous of,
or maybe we all were a little bit.
That was so. I was expecting, his last few speeches, Biden speeches, were very, I don't want to say divisive. Everyone uses that term, but definitely trying to sow division in the way that he talks about people like us that didn't vote for him, or like me. And
no, I didn't vote for him either. But, it's okay.
So, he coined the term a while ago, Ultra MAGA, which is funny in and of itself because, like, before that, I never even considered myself MAGA. I'm conservative.
Right.
I'm a Christian. I'm conservative. That's reflects a lot of my views. I swear a lot. I'm that type of person. So, Drew, I apologize if I start going off on tangents. I don't mean it. It's just the way I talk. But I never considered myself like, MAGA, wear the hat, anything Trump says is correct. Trump is a lowercase g God type of thing. But now that he's making just about any Republican or conservative, he's basically aligning them with MAGA. I almost have to say, well, thanks to you, I'll take the term Ultra MAGA now. I'll put that on.
He did roll the White House rolled back that comment this morning, say that he wasn't going after the people that voted for Trump. He was going after the people that were in Congress already that were backing him. And I'm like, No, no. That's not how that conversation was last night. But we will get more into that because I think that's going to be just a long conversation of.
Well, we're
And I'm
already.
assuming, Jason, you have clip. Maz,
Yeah,
you want to keep
so-
going? We'll keep going into it.
Um.
Um,
So, coming in here, let me bring this. Why is this? Go ahead and keep talking while I bring up.
yeah,
this
no.
clip.
So, with it last night, I was actually waiting for like the Imperial flags to fall at Independence, at the Independence Hall in Philly. I thought it was very inappropriate to have the Marines standing by him, and the way the shadows were, you couldn't see the Marine's face. Yeah, Darth I
Biden.
think that's the one. Yes, had the whole Imperial March and everything.
It was just
I
so
just think
weird with the red. That looks Photoshop, and of course the Darth Biden part is, but the rest of the picture is just a screenshot.
oh no, when I first saw, like, I woke up to all these clips in my For You page on every social media thing I could ever think of. And I'm like, there's no way he did a fucking speech in Philadelphia at night, which is fine, but with red lights.
It's very weird. Do you guys notice, like, do you see in that picture right now, it almost looks like the wings of the Nazi eagle
Yes.
over above his shoulders? It really is very it's very, very disturbing how symbolic this is.
So,
I saw a couple of TikTokers do this with him next to Adolf Hitler, like side by side.
Yeah,
Adolf Hitler doing the same stand. And it's like,
look how angry he looks.
He's absolutely angry.
But does he even know why he's angry, though? Do you guys think he actually, like, I feel like he just really doesn't know what's going on.
I don't think.
I think it's on the teleprompter.
That's the
Sure.
thing.
You must have an angry face.
So here's the clip, the screenshot from V from Vendetta. Tell me that doesn't look.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
eerily
that's
similar.
Wow! Look at that!
Yeah.
Wow!
So this is
we live in a clown world, guys. Nothing is real anymore.
That's the thing, is it can't be, because I mean this is the president, and who thought, oh, this would be a good look for the president, who already is at, I think he's up now. He's at like 39 or 40% approval rating. Some polls have him up at 44.
I think he just got that threshold of 40 on most of the polls.
Yeah. And
it's mainly because when he announced student loan forgiveness is when that's when it jumped, because everyone was like, "Ooh, my loans are getting paid off."
And there's that, and then there's also the part of he had COVID and his wife had COVID, so they basically went into seclusion for the better part of a month.
And on the third day, he rose again.
That's right. Unfortunately. But
right?
The thing is his approval ratings always go up the less people see of him. And then they bring out something like this. Where he's standing in front of this red building, having military behind him, a couple guys. That I have no problem with that. That's presidential things. All presidents do that. I'm
not disputing that the Marines behind him. I just feel like the way it was shot.
And then on top of that, you had that upward shot. So it's not even just a straight on shot or something like that. It's that slightly upward tilt
It's all about optics,
And
for sure.
yeah.
It's always, yeah.
And again, I studied film. And part of film study is how camera angles make people look. That's why whenever you have the Emperor or Darth Vader or, you know, whoever in whatever movie, when you want them to look intimidating, you put dark, harsh, contrasting light behind them, usually red. If you want to make them feel kind of sickish or look sickish, you put green. If you want to make them actually look happy, like, you know, people can relate to them, you use blue. Like, you know, colors have meaning to it. And when they use this red color with the, it's like a blood red. It's not even like, it's not like the GOP bright red. It's like dark, ominous.
It is very ominous. I agree.
And then he comes up and says this.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear. Very clear.
4
up front.
people clapping.
Yeah.
Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA
That's
Republicans.
a clap reel.
Not every
That's him trying to pull it back slightly, like, oh no, I just said something.
Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
So a recent poll had like 90% of Republicans saying that they would vote for Trump again if he ran.
I don't want him to run, guys. I genuinely don't. I really just, like, for me personally, I bought into it for a while. You know, I liked it. I felt like the controversy was enough to stir people up and get them at least talking about issues. But we're at the point now. It's just it's nauseating.
Well,
No. I mean, I don't disagree whatsoever. We've had this conversation that if Trump did become president, someone needs to take his phone away from him.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Of many things, but that would be one. Yes.
That's what we said. Most of the problems that Trump had was because he was sitting on the John tweeting.
Yeah, you're right. If he didn't say most of the things that he did on Twitter, I think that he would have been a pretty benign president.
Right.
You know.
I mean, he was very outspoken. I will give him that. But man, there was just like sometimes he would just make that jab that was unnecessary. It was like
Absolutely.
Right. And then
really? What?
And like I tried to explain to a family member not long ago that couldn't understand why I or anybody else would vote for him, is I tried to explain, you have to remember, Trump is not the cause of anything. Trump is more like the symptom. Trump is the punchback. You guys threw all of Bush, and then then we had 2 wishy-washy Republican candidates in 2008 and 2012 that not all of us, but a lot of us, myself included, were saying, listen, they're coming after you. You know, Biden actually said that Romney was going to put people back in chains, and Romney never responded to that. And that was the stuff that when Trump came out, Trump punches back. Now, I like how
it was nice. It was nice for the back and forth. I'll give him that much.
You know, and I like how Ben Shapiro puts it. Trump is like a hammer who is constantly hitting. Unfortunately, sometimes he hits a nail, and sometimes he hits someone else in the head.
Right. I like that.
So, but that was it. Trump was a symptom. You know, he got elected because he was going to punch back.
Well, and I think, you know, a big part of the reason that he was elected is Hillary is no one wanted Hillary.
No.
You know, you could have had a weaker Republican candidate go up against Hillary, and I think that they would have done well. The problem is that the extremism of Hillary was matched by the extremism of Donald Trump.
Exactly. I mean, think about this. Donald Trump got less votes in most states than Romney did. and Romney lost them states. Romney lost Michigan. Trump won Michigan in 2016. He had like 12,000 less votes than Romney did.
I believe it.
And won. He did the same thing in Wisconsin, did the same thing, I think, in Pennsylvania.
On a side note, whenever I think about Joe Biden thinking in his head, I remember the movie Inside Out. This is what's going on right here.
They're trying to figure out. Now, you know what makes me think? When I was in college, I had to do we kind of like a thesis film at bigger colleges. We called them a defense because I was going for my bachelor's, not master's.
Sure.
So I didn't have to do a thesis, but I had to make a short film. And the film we made was called Four Humors. And it dealt with a person that was dying, but it showed from inside of his head that there were, the four humors. If you go back to like Greek, and they believed in the four different personality humors and all that stuff. And each one of them was dying off slightly, and they were actually killing each other, and they were arguing, trying to figure out who was going to be next. And that's what it reminds me of.
So what do you guys think in regard to, do you think that that Trump should in fact run? I mean, do you think that maybe it would be better for, because I'm kind of a big DeSantis fan.
Yes.
Now I am a libertarian by my party affiliation. However, unfortunately, the underperformance of the Libertarian Party over the last two elections has been very just gross. Right. So in fact, I had Jo Jorgensen on my podcast back before the election took place. I was trying to get notoriety for her. But anyway, long story short, I think that I really think it would be in the country's best interest if Trump were to just fade away into the distance.
I agree.
Let DeSantis do his thing.
The problem is, I think the Democrats at this current moment won't allow it.
They need it. They need Trump.
They need it. Yes,
you're right.
And that's
they
why now,
they need him. They need to keep poking the bear.
Yeah.
And the problem is,
you're right.
Trump won't. Is it that one that will back down? He'll be like, "Really? Okay, you really want to keep doing this?" And then keep at it. And with a little sidestep in with the Mar-a-Lago bullshit that's going on right now, and they displayed all those files all over the place. A handful of them were completely already empty, and then before they took the picture. So now the ultimate thing is the Trump card is Trump just releases the CT footage of his whole of the whole Mar-a-Lago watching FBI doing what they're doing. The thing is, he set out to do what JFK said a long time ago, was to drain the swamp. And the minute he said that when he was doing his election process is what made him the target. It's exactly what made him the target, because nobody wants to lose their job. They didn't want people coming out, because I grew up in D.C., as Jason knows and everybody else here knows. I've seen the the banter between the bureaucrats and the politicians. Yes. And that was the one thing I will say Trump did right. He didn't deal with the bureaucrats. And I think that's what made him very different. And that's what made him very approachable in his position. You're right. I think he needs to just walk away and let DeSantis move in. But as long as the current Democrats are in power, they're not going to allow it. They're going to keep poking him because they need that. They need that back and forth.
Yeah, every supervillain needs a superhero, and vice versa.
Right,
sure.
Exactly. So, I completely, and I think if you took a poll, most conservatives would agree that Trump should step back. First off, remember, if in 2024 Trump's going to be a year older than Biden was when he took office. So you can't use the Biden dementia, he's old, anymore. So there's that. But then also, like Ryan was saying, they keep poking the bear, and Trump is a counterpuncher.
Right.
So this is the time. He's already done with office, where honestly, you should just, go to Mar-a-Lago and say, hey, you know what? I'm 77 years old or 76 years old. Let's let everyone else run everything. I'm just going to chill and play golf the rest of my life.
I think one of the best things that he could do, really, if you think about it. So if what Ryan says is true, and they're really trying to poke the bear to get a response out of Trump, maybe even to get him to run for sure, if he continues to push back, but then at the right point drops out completely, then think of all of the resources and the effort that the Democratic Party has put into elevating that Trump is going to run again and scaring everybody. And then all of a sudden he doesn't. What is that going to do to their base? Because most people will agree, I'm not going to go vote for Trump again. I'll vote for whoever is opposed to him. But if he backs out completely and all of the Republican resources are put behind DeSantis, and we know that, look, what is, other than taking care of Florida, DeSantis is pretty quiet about presidential stuff.
He is. He even said at one point, I think it was, I don't think it was like a press conference. I think it was someone like, at a luncheon or something, asked about him running. And he said, he goes, I'm concentrating on Florida right now, but we'll see what happens with
He's going to run, dude. I would be shy. I will put money down on him running. It would be crazy.
DeSantis won't run if Trump is running unless they come up with an agreement together, like what you said.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if they can pin him to be the bad guy, and most people would agree, by allowing DeSantis to triumph even over Trump, you're going to win. You're going to win a lot of the other side to that. And most of it's a game.
And the great thing with DeSantis is a counterpuncher just like Trump, but he's better at it.
With tact.
Yes. Trump is like, I'm an MMA fighter. I train MMA fighters. I don't fight anymore. But we always talk about two kinds of fighters. You have the brawler, and then you have the technical fighter. And the brawler can do good for a while until they start getting older and slowing down, because then they don't have the energy and stuff anymore. The technical fighter, they can fight. I have one fighter that's in his 40s now, and he's still fighting, and he's still winning.
Now look at Tom Brady.
He's a technical fighter.
Well, he got in trouble because they were trying to sneak him off to Miami without it telling anybody, and got caught. Good job, Tom Brady.
But that's where I think DeSantis is. He's got the power, like I say, the power in the punches that Trump has, but he's got the tact, he's got the technique behind it.
So as of right,
and he's got military service
now,
too.
As of right now, poll-wise, there's only a 10-point difference between Trump and DeSantis. That's it. So
how much does that matter right now, though? 2 years in.
2 years out.
Correct.
I mean,
but
think about this.
It's a trail that Trump, like you said, Trump could use. Like, oh, look at me. I'm the leader. Not pay attention to DeSantis. He gets all this backing, and he goes, I'm out. And then backs off. DeSantis, he gets all that backing from Trump. Trump goes, I'm going to back off. Back to DeSantis. DeSantis comes in and knocks it out of the park.
If Trump backs DeSantis, like right before, is it the Iowa is the first one in the primaries, presidential primaries?
Yeah, Iowa's the first. I think
Iowa, and then
but
New
I think
Hampshire.
it's Super Tuesday is when he wants to do that at. I think it would be the Super Tuesday event.
But
they would want to do that.
Backs right out and says, you know what, I fully endorse DeSantis. If he did that, and that means DeSantis is not only going to get his base, but he's going to take everyone from Trump along with it. Plus, he's going to appeal to the more middle ground moderates.
Do you think he
who's
can?
going to be the most?
Do you think he can overtly endorse DeSantis though, or will that carry some negative effects with his personal endorsement?
I think he would have to. I think he would have to overtly, endorse him. I think if he did it, kind of like behind the scenes endorsed him, there's going to be a lot more that can be said.
Okay.
Rather than him coming out and just saying, you know what, I'm putting my name behind this person. We got to remember the elephant in the room. Yeah, the left's gonna use attack ads anyway, and say, Trump, the worst president ever, endorses DeSantis. Do you? Kind of thing. But if he doesn't do that, then you're going to have a lot of, I think, these far Trump supporters, should I say.
The ultra MAGA.
The ultra MAGA. Yeah, not me, who's ultra MAGA in name only.
Right.
Sure.
So you're going to have them that are going to say, well, DeSantis is taking it away. I'm going to vote for Trump anyway.
Well, you got to remember the elephant in the room, Liz Cheney. She will be devastated because her whole goal was to knock out Trump. And if he walks away freely, what is her base?
I don't think anybody really worries about Liz Cheney too much.
Oh, no. I just want to see her cry again on stage. She'll never be her father. Her father was a warlord in his own right, and he should have never been vice president, but he got there anyways.
I try to tell people, you have to remember that was the old style Republicans.
Oh yeah, the warmongering party.
I even my dad is an older style Republican. The Bush, the Goldwater, all of that type of Republican. I think our generation of conservatives, notice many of us that I talk to don't even call ourselves Republican. I'm not even registered Republican.
Right.
In Michigan, you don't have to register. When I was in Oregon, I had to register. But
Oregon.
Pennsylvania, I had to register in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but we tend to base more on, I think, more of a philosophical than the older style Republicans, which had like maybe 3 or 4 core things that they had to hit.
I think Bush ruined republicanism for a lot of people because of his warmongering. I think that was very hard, and I think that we really are coming to see that into fruition now after the withdrawal from Afghanistan, when we realize, like, holy crap, dude, 20 years. Like, we were doing this for 20 years, and we see the fallout, like the corrupt officials that were put in place by our government. The deals, the handshakes and shady deals that were done. Listen, guys, I joined the Navy in 1999 and I retired in 2019. My entire career was in Afghanistan. I mean, the whole thing, it's so ridiculous. And a lot of us, got a lot of guys like me that served. We don't feel the same way about war that we did before.
I have a lot of friends that fought in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Yeah.
That joined up right after 9/11.
Yep.
A lot of my friends joined up. We were in college at the time. I was a freshman in college during 9/11.
Yeah.
So
a lot of my friends, same 9/11 joined. But the conversation was that the war in Iraq was Bush was finishing his daddy's war,
right?
Not actually finding justice for what happened in 9/11. That's unfortunate what took so long. And then it should have ended when Obama took over, but he just kept it going.
And I know me and Ryan have had this conversation a few times on here, so I know I'm reiterating stuff, but My view is at a certain point, I don't know when that point was, whether it was 5 years in, 10 years in, at a certain point, we were obligated to stay, at least having some backing in Afghanistan, not to completely pull out, especially not the way we did.
Yeah, we painted ourselves into a corner, and
Right.
we had to stay to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
The example I use is North and South Korea. It took South Korea 40 years before they had a normal democratic election that actually changed the way that South Korea looks. Up until that time, it was basically military ran. Even the whole time we were there, because we got there right after World War II. Like, we were there right during and after World War II to keep an eye on Japan. And then we stayed, and it took until the 80s. So when you pull out after 20 years, that's not long enough to change a whole generation. You have to change 1-2 generations worth of people in order to make any real change.
Well, and a big part of the problem too is most of the people it's such a widespread kind of a wasteland Afghanistan is, and there's people there that don't know anything about any governments. And when when we were occupying Afghanistan and talking about what happened during 9/11, they're like, we didn't know about that. Like, we don't know anything. So these dirt farmers essentially are just trying to live their lives. And all of a sudden, here's a whole bunch of Americans, and they're like, why are you here? What are you guys doing?
Right. Well, and think about, we were there for 20 years. A girl that was 5 years old, 10 years old in 2002, I think is when we went in. 2002. So now she's 25, maybe 30 years old. So maybe she was 10.
Right.
She doesn't know living under Taliban rule. She doesn't remember. And now all of a sudden we pull out, and in one weekend,
Taliban's back, baby.
Right back to exactly how it was in 1999.
As if they just skipped the last 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was talking with another friend who fought over there. He did 3 tours over there. And then his third tour, when he finally came back, an IED exploded, and he burned his legs. It didn't like char his legs, but burned them really bad, and so that was his retirement. But he was telling me that what people don't understand too is that the Afghan military basically relied on our air support over there. Like, because of the terrain,
sure,
they would have, he says, we would have skirmishes, or they would get into skirmishes that they couldn't handle, not because they couldn't fight back, but because of the terrain. They had no way of getting reinforcement without air support. And when we pulled out, we took all that air support away.
Well, once we left, most of the troops, they didn't want to fight anyway. I mean, from what I heard and what I understood is most of the military forces that we had been training for all of these years, the second that we backed out, they gave up. They surrendered immediately to the Taliban. There wasn't even a fight. It was just okay, this is the way. So there was no, like, you can train people, but you can't change people's hearts.
Right.
You can't influence it in that way. And the problem is we were just a military presence over there. We weren't really pushing democracy. We were just being the military over there.
Right. And like I say, same thing happened with Korea. And with Korea, we stayed there as a military presence. It took 40 years, but eventually enough hearts changed over that time because the country changed by having us there, having us protect them, having us keep their military from South Korea's military from completely taking over like North Korea's.
Well, there was no oil in Korea for us to try to suck out of there. You know what I mean?
That's true.
No opium either.
my uncle was in the Army, and he had a 10-year tour, and his job was to sit on the border wall with his rifle and he just walked back and forth, safety off. He just walked back and forth. And I was like, that sucked. He goes, man, it was the most nerve-wracking 8-hour shift I work every day.
I have a friend that he actually joined the Army wrestling team. He wrestled in high school, didn't wrestle in college. He wasn't even that good in high school. He was like mediocre. But he joined the Army wrestling team to travel around South Korea, going to wrestling matches because it kept him off the DMZ. Because by having the military represented at these tournaments, it looked good for us. So
it's all a show.
Yep. He's like, so I joined the wrestling team. He's like, so my I think he was there for 2 years. He's like, my 2 years there, I was only on the DMZ like twice. But
that's insane.
So back to what we were talking about earlier. The other thing that's interesting about this is CNN did actually changed the colors behind Biden.
Really?
So
did
yeah.
They?
So I've seen a number of these. This
the rainbow flag? It's not Pride Month anymore.
No, they like tinted it
really
during. So
okay.
I'll turn this down because we don't need to hear what he has to say. But
although Victor's a great guy.
Victor is awesome. I would love to get him on, but I feel like he would talk circles around me.
I can talk to him for you. I can see if he'll do it. I know Victor.
But watch.
Okay. So he's getting ready to show us the changing of the lighting here?
Yeah. And at first I'm like, that's not real. And then I looked at the American flag and look at the lighting, the tone on the American flag even. It's like they tinted it with more of the opposite, more yellow, so that it turned like a pinkish color.
It turned into a pinkish hue right on the flag.
Yeah. They hued the whole thing.
Okay.
So that it didn't look as red. But if you look at the American flag, the red even changed on that.
So is the point being made that CNN is trying to cover, like they even realized how
bad it looked,
how doom and gloom it was? Yeah, okay,
yeah,
I see.
So, I mean,
I've noticed with CNN's
that clock tower is weird in the background. That's so weird.
Have you never been to Independence Hall in Philly?
No, I've driven through Philly, but I myself have never been.
Well, driving through Philly is a little difficult because it's like driving through landmines because of all the potholes in the road. But Independence Hall is very nifty. I mean, but those lights aren't there. Though they had to bring those lights in.
Yeah.
I mean, those lights, something like that, studio lights like that are cheap. I have in my closet behind me.
Oh, yeah.
I've got, probably 15,000 watt lights back
It
there.
is a very blood red looking at the difference now.
It is.
Compared to.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the original. And then.
But CNN has been calling out some of the hypocrisy lately. The only people that haven't is MSNBC. And
Bill Maher has been calling out MSNBC quite a bit, so maybe there'll be.
Oh yeah.
What's amazing though is Bill Maher he's not right. He's not on the right. He's not conservative.
Right.
But because he's calling out and saying, "Listen, you guys are basically shooting yourselves in the foot by doing what you're doing," all of a sudden he's getting attacked by the left.
Yeah.
Good. Let it keep going on. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, the thing is, Biden was saying, basically, if you're not thinking or feeling how we are doing, you're against us. And it's like, but we believe in the Constitution. You're saying that we don't believe in the He actually said that the quote ultra MAGA people don't believe in the Constitution. And I'm like, you believe that the Constitution is not absolute. So how is that different?
Okay, you can actually see the color change.
Oh, there. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Watch the flag.
It went from like red to purple to pink back to red.
Yeah.
So there's red.
Mm-hmm.
There's the purple mixing in.
And then they went to like an orangish.
Sure enough.
So I know that's easy to do in a God, I'm even forgetting my.
They probably have it on. They probably have it on.
No, what it is it's a little dial. No, it's a dial.
Yeah.
It's on the board. It's a dial. The director color corrects on the fly. So it's a color dial, and you just kind of move it more. So if it's too red, you move it the opposite of the red towards cyan and stuff like that. And I used to do that when I worked in news. And someone shot something and it was too washed out in one color, we'd correct it on the fly. But yeah.
Well, it's undeniable that they definitely did something there. It's just interesting to hear. I mean, I know CNN fired Brian Stelter recently, which is obviously it's good for the American people. Don Lemon needs to be next. Cuomo is gone now. I think they're putting a lot of faith in Tapper to be a little bit more moderate, but I think only time is going to tell there.
I watched Tapper the other day
when he was in the press room with Obama and Trump. He wasn't too bad, but but now they get him on when he's actually on a show or he's got when he's up there. I think the producers are pushing it more and more. It's not just the hosts.
I think it's Tapper's.
And again, I can tell you,
I think it's Tapper's teleprompter more.
Well, it is. I mean, I can tell you, I worked in local news. I didn't work nationally for CNN or anything, but I can tell you in local news, the anchors, half the time they don't know what they're saying beforehand. They're really good at reading them teleprompters and making it sound like it's
like
the first,
well thought out,
natural. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I've even written some, and then they do some funny stuff. I remember one of our anchors, they were talking about, oh God, she is so funny because whenever she has to ad lib, something bad is coming out of her mouth on air. And so there was twice I was running cameras. I wasn't in the control room. I was running cameras. And one time she was throwing it to weather, and they were talking about the heat wave or something like that. And she goes, yeah, well, it may be 90 degrees out, but it's always 69 in my bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
And
fantastic.
Everybody is just staring at her like, and then another one, we just did a puff piece, national puff piece that came from CNN, oddly, about a three-legged dog that won some sort of race or something like that. And she throws it to sports and goes, I don't remember our sports guy's name, so I'm going to say Ryan. So Ryan, do you have three legs? And then it cuts straight to him staring at the camera going, and literally his reaction is, I don't know what to say right now, so we're going to go to commercial.
That's awesome.
And here I am behind the camera trying not to laugh because I can't make a noise.
Right.
So I am doing everything I can. My face is turning beet red, waiting for commercial to come.
No kidding.
Good Lord. All right. So we're all in agreement. Biden has no idea what he's talking about. Biden believes that we're all against him, and
well, basically what
we're walking into the imperial.
I think he thinks, empire. And I think this might be a Democrat strategy. I think they think that they're going to win in November based on division. Based on division, saying if you agree with Trump, you're evil. Don't agree with Trump. Putting that false dichotomy in there.
I just think that's a very. I mean, look, I'm happy that they're doing it just for the sake that I think they're really shooting themselves in the feet by doing this. But let them have it and let them figure it out.
Yeah.
What is it that incumbent governor for Florida that's running against DeSantis tells everybody, if you want to vote for DeSantis, don't vote for me. I don't want that hate. And I'm like, huh?
That's stupid. That's really not going to go well. That's even psychologically, that doesn't make sense. Like, people see through that. There are tactics that you can use to get people to do just that, but not by going directly out and saying it like that. You should have a little bit of candor, I think, when you are politically.
I think the Democrats of this time that are running are literally spiraling because they have no idea what to run on, because the country's falling apart and they know it's their party's fault, but they're trying to spin something. So it's entertaining to watch. I mean, look at California at the moment. California, their energy grid's in the toilet because they just came out just the other day saying, please don't charge your electric car. Our grid can't handle it.
Oh,
and
that's
have
right.
your air conditioning at 79 degrees or higher. And I'm like, who the hell fucking has their air conditioner at 79 degrees?
That's
in the
right.
Summer?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
My wife just joined us, so we've got a fourth here. You won't see her on camera though, because I don't have two cameras. But,
I did want to. His wife is in the nursing field, and I wanted to talk about the Minnesota nursing strike that's coming up. There's 16 hospitals in Minnesota, totaling 15,000 medical staff that are unionized, and they're all walking out from the 12th, 13th, and 14th. They had to do a 10-day request for a 3-day strike. And I'm like, because my wife's in the medical field, and I've already gotten her opinion on it. She goes, good for them, because having to care for one person, have to care for 8 to 10 people a day is more than a nurse should take.
I always thought that 8 was like the max.
Every state is different.
Is this a result of the vaccine mandates? Like the reason that we have so little nursing staff?
Yes, because a lot of the hospitals were forcing the vaccine mandate,
right?
And a lot of people just didn't want to, and that is their choice. And
sure, they went into private practice, right?
And a lot of people were forced to resign. So those that stayed were left to bite the bullet on that.
Yep.
And
real quick, can you guys hear Kelly?
No,
it sounds like she's in the room, but it doesn't sound like she's on.
Yeah, she's coming on your microphone, not hers.
That makes sense.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
Hello. I don't know you. You are Drew. Hi, Drew.
I'm Drew. Yes, ma'am.
Drew is our guest for tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do we have for him, Johnny? Wait, we don't have a Johnny. Shit.
We have a Ryan.
No, we do not have a Johnny. Not yet.
Hopefully that's not trademarked. That's copywritten in a different show.
Yeah. We're commentary. We get protection anyway for most things.
It's parody.
No, comedy.
I know.
Commentary.
Commentary. Yeah.
So we get fair use protection.
Parody is Psychostick, and they do enough parody songs.
Yeah, I know.
Parody is what I do with my news.
Fair enough.
Oh, I love your news captions. Because every time I'm sitting there trying to come up with stuff, and sometimes you'll talk about some of the things I put on the show notes, and you'll make a funny comment about it. I'm like, that's what I'm putting on my show note.
That's awesome.
I won't lie. I won't lie.
Is it bad? So not so much of our news, but so much of our clips and stuff now come from TikTok. Just because
it gets but the thing is, because they're 1 minute to 2 minutes long most of the time, it's easy.
Everybody's on that platform.
Exactly.
It's easy to grab and throw it in.
Everyone's on it, and it's easy to get the sound bites. to where other things you're searching through a 15, 20, 30 minute to try to find a, 30-second SOT, to where on TikTok, I can just say, oh, here's the SOT. And then I hit the share, hit the download button.
Yep. And everybody's clipping stuff already. So it's already in that digestible format.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what's fantastic. So Kelly, being that you work at a hospital, what has your hospital ever talked about very similar of what's happening in Minnesota? Has that ever been discussed?
Not publicly. I'm sure a lot of the nurses are talking about it, but I haven't heard a lot, I guess, uncomfortable situations. Right now, everything is still very stressful and high intensity. Not good working relationships. Sure. It's just going downhill fast. So, yeah. We'll see.
My wife is also in the medical field, so it's kind of funny that we all three have wives that are in that. My wife she's a senior pharmacy tech at a private pharmacy, but she used to work at a Walgreens. And when COVID first hit, she wanted to do pharmacy tech stuff. She wanted to fill and do all of that. But with COVID and all of these contracts, they were really forced into vaccinations, and so it went from doing pharmaceuticals to like prioritizing vaccinations. And as much as, and my wife didn't necessarily have a problem with if people wanted the vaccine, it's their choice. That's what they want to do. But when you don't provide additional bodies and you have an additional workflow item that you have to do, and it's already, I don't know if you guys have been in a Walgreens pharmacy lately, but people are just unhinged. In all of these pharmacies, they're all just unhinged. And so she was dealing with unhinged people and their medication and having to vaccinate people. And she finally, thank God she was able to find a job at a private pharmacy, and she's much happier now. But it's, the medical field in general is hurting because of what COVID has done to businesses, to the reprioritization of what healthcare means. I mean, it's really weird, man. Very weird.
I mean, it's just not the medical field itself. I know on instance like Medicare and Medicaid, they're prioritizing their business by their demands. So if you're not willing to meet their demands, they're not going to front bills. And there's a lot of people that depend on Medicaid and Medicare. And it's like, what do you do about that? I think that was politicized even more because
and yet we still want to give the government more control.
More power.
We see how bad everything that the government touches turns into. We want to just keep giving them more control. It's ridiculous.
I mean, with the CDC finally retracting a lot of their oops, and thank you for YouTube for updating their terms and policies about how the CDC guidelines were.
True, I just read that.
A strike for that.
Yeah, didn't we get a strike last year because of we were talking about the vaccine?
Medical misinformation.
Misinformation. That's right. So this is our second.
We were talking about Joe Rogan's when he got
the
COVID.
ivermectin.
We were talking about ivermectin. My aunt is a PA, and she actually prescribes people ivermectin that want it. And everyone's like, because I got into an argument with our old co-host, Andy, God love him, because he's like, oh, you're giving them. No, there are two forms of ivermectin. One is for animals, and one is for people. Take the people version.
Just like animals can take different anti-anxiety medicines too. It's not their physiology and for some animals is very similar to humans when it comes to different medicines like Benadryls and
That's right. Didn't we have to give our dog Benadryl at one point? And they said to give him. This was when we had Axel for itching, and they said to give him like 4 or 5 Benadryl tablets. And I'm thinking, this is a 100-pound dog.
Good night.
But their physiology is different,
right?
So they metabolize it differently.
My one dog, was so hyperactive, I thought about giving her weed to calm her down.
I tried that with my dog too. It didn't work.
Well,
she hates storms.
They make doggy week now. Now, and I'm like, I thought about buying it, and I'm like,
my dog licked up some can of butter I made. So I was taking it from the cooker, putting it in, and it dripped on the floor, and the dog was lapping it up, and I'm like, oh
no! Did it affect? Because my dog, I gave her a tincture for a storm, and she just was still a mess. It didn't do anything.
No, because she had quite a bit. I mean, I made it strong, but she kind of stared off for a little bit. About an hour later, all of a sudden I see her just kind of staring at me, and then a little bit after that she was taking a nap. So all right, but we got Kelly here talk about the medical field. So what do you know anything that's happening out there with the nurses or what's going on?
Well, actually, you just mentioned it earlier today, and I've heard about it, but I didn't actually know how much was involved. But I mean, honestly, this is nothing new. There have been strikes. I mean, even at the beginning of COVID, you look at for safety measures, trying to push through the Healthcare Safety Act for medical workers because people have been assaulted and killed, and vice versa. Well, between their coworkers and their patients, but for the strikes recently, go ahead.
Yeah, the demands from the nurses right now are pay increases, less care in a sense, like where
less responsibility.
They're responsible for and more security guards.
Be careful how you say that, because less responsibility is negative. I mean,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
No,
I'm going to be devil's advocate right there.
Sure,
right.
Sorry,
so they're not a unit. So it's not one nurse to 20 patients.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they want like a 1 to 6 ratio, 1 to 8 ratio. But they're also asking ratio? For more a doable ratio and more security guards. And I'm like, wow. And then you just mentioned it. Are the patients attacking the nurses, Kelly? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I think in previous podcasts we've talked about that, where I've mentioned that patients have attacked each other. Patients have attacked the staff. Staff has attacked the staff. There's actually been shootings and homicides. Suicide homicides. If you go back, one of the gals I always kind of look to for that information, credible information, is you can find her on TikTok and Instagram. It's the nurse Erica. And she goes back.
That's how I found the story.
She goes back.
She's the one that announced this.
And it's nuts. I mean, yeah, COVID did a number on us, but right now, as far as the vaccinations, that really set a lot of people off because, yeah, you can get exemptions, not a big deal. There are a lot of nursing staff that, believe in, yes, I'm doing this for the greater good. And that's okay. You put into what you have your body, your choice. You should not force that choice on anybody else. You get an exemption for that, or if you don't like it, you can find another job. It sucks, but I mean, those are the choices. Or you can also retire and whatnot. But right now, it's managerial gaslighting. Hospitals are now no longer hospitals; they're businesses because of reimbursement and money. People are losing money left and right, and so it's staff shortages, wage cuts. A lot of the nurses are really pissed because, example, our hospital got COVID money, and we were all given retention bonuses, but then they retracted it for almost half of our nurses in our hospital because they were quote unquote under contract with the union, and therefore they fell under something different.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. And then as far as these, so there's a couple currently going on. So the one that the nurse Erica had recently mentioned was the Minnesota one. Reno, Nevada, I guess, is having one in their state. The nurse ratio, I'm trying to think what exactly it's called. it's like mandated patient ratio, staffing ratio, something to nurses. And not every state has specific minimums or maximums set in place. So I think you have to look that up by state. Reno, Nevada does not. So then the hospital gets to choose what they think is appropriate staffing. And I think there was an issue with, their ratio was like their normal ratio is 1-4, but they were getting up to 1-5, and the nurses refused to clock in. And you think 1-5 is not bad. So I guess the best way I can describe it, and this is kind of on the fly because I'm really bad at preparing, and I just found out about this, so I apologize.
We won't judge you.
Oh, no. Thank you. But when you send your kid to school, you think about your class sizes, right? Why?
Because
what's the point of class
the
sizes?
Amount of attention that you can give to the students.
You got it. So what is a good ratio that you want your student, your child, your loved one, right, whether it be a pediatric, child, or, someone in college, they're kind of adult, they can kind of take care of themselves. But as far as your child, someone that you want to have looked after in a safe place that you assume is safe.
Yeah.
What is a good ratio for you?
21.
The less the better, in my
less
opinion.
The better.
15-1, yeah.
Yeah, 15-1 maybe might be about the max, I'd say.
Okay, now what about special needs classes?
That's a whole, I'd say 1 teacher per 8 students.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking 1-5, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely lower than a normal class size, than like a typical class size.
But why is that?
Or
because
even when they're younger.
More individualized care.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you think about, you have a range for, any hospital, whether you have a pediatric unit or an adult unit. Those people may or may not be able to take care of themselves, whether they're mentally or they just have a physical issue because of surgery, or they're older and they can't take care of themselves. So you're thinking, okay, 1-8, it's not a special needs classroom, but this person has a rectal bleed. They're 80 years old. They can't move. They haven't been turned. They've got bed sores. They came from a home. Their blood work hasn't been drawn. They don't have new IVs, so everything is hemolyzed. Their IVs don't work. They have bad veins because guess what? They're bleeding somewhere. Mm-hmm. And that nurse has 5 other patients to take care of. And they don't have a CNA that can round on that patient and take vitals, because CNAs can only do so much. Patient safety techs can only do so much. So then if you have this 80-year-old who's rectally bleeding, that can't move on their own, but it has dementia or Alzheimer's or has a sundowner syndrome, and they turn violent towards the end of the night, when you're switching shift, you don't know if that patient's going to have the mentality to try and get out of bed and fall and break their hip or hit their head and have a head bleed, because they're bleeding somewhere. They might be on a blood thinner. So you don't know. Hopefully they turned off the blood thinners, but then you might have new nursing staff because you had to hire new nursing staff because all your staff is leaving and they don't have the experience, but they're willing to be a travel person and get paid $80 an hour.
I was going to say,
but you're not going to pay your own staff that.
My wife has that issue at her nursing home where, like, she's paid at one wage, and then we get all this. She gets all these travel agencies that are being paid $40, $50 an hour, and they sit at the desk and bullshit and just walk around, and it's like, why? So
what is
why even go to work?
What is the future state of this then? If, let's say, if this doesn't resolve, if they can't come to some sort of agreement and fix the problems, what do you see in your professional opinion?
It's going to break down.
And what does that mean? What does that look like to you, though? That's what I'm curious about.
What does it look like to us as?
Well, yeah. What does that look like to everybody else when it comes to like hospital care and medical care?
Well, I think a lot of it is going well.
Well,
it's hard to think about it, but
sure.
The way that what it's going to happen is it is going to get so bad that at the first sign of any hope, people are going to jump at it and be like, "Oh my God, this is a relief. This is so much better." And it's going to be socialized healthcare.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's I think ultimately,
when you talk about the nursing staff in 1-8, if I remember correctly, especially during the height of COVID, when you had all these hospitals saying we're at capacity and we're at this. It's not that they're actually, maybe they have 100 beds or 200 beds. It's not that they don't have enough beds. It's that they don't have the staff.
But they will not detail that in an answer. They will say we're at capacity. So another example is,
so they have the beds, they have the room, they have the resources. They just laid off or people quit.
They don't have all the resources, but they do have the physical beds. It's just that they are empty because there is no one to staff the patients that go in those beds.
So how do we get to, if we can't find the staffing now, how will socialized healthcare fix that problem? Because there's still the lack of staff, right?
There's still the lack of staff, but I think a lot of people would feel better. I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't think about that.
Do you think it might be, well, I was going to say, what about like privatized healthcare? Do you think that if there's an opening now for these nurses and doctors to begin starting like home care and, other privatized health stuff?
I think that's honestly going to suffer because you're going to end up having this is the thing about healthcare. It's a business and the insurance runs the business.
Right. Yeah.
So the insurances are not going to be covering that private doctor, or the private doctor is only going to be doing certain things to make the most amount of money.
Maybe we get rid of insurance.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be great, huh?
It would be. There's good things about it, but right now they have gotten so ridiculously terrible right now.
Yeah. Well, and like what you said about socialized healthcare, that's my fear, is that right now they're going
to get people put in place,
but
certain areas like California.
Well, hold on. Okay. So if right now the hospitals are basically paid and ran by the insurance tells the doctors what tests to take and what,
that depends, because when you are in a hospital, honestly, a doctor can order anything and then you find out if insurance covers it.
Okay.
Right.
Because a pre-auth is usually the only thing that happens outside of a hospital when it's a primary care physician.
I was going to say, for my experience with insurance, I have to go through and do all these stupid pre-auths before I can actually get what the doctor tells me I need.
So what if...
But what my question is, though, is if we go to a socialized healthcare, wouldn't things get worse? Because now you have bureaucrats saying the hospital gets X amount of money a year. Say you get, $2.5 million a year, and that is to cover all expenses. You can't say, I'm going to hire more people when you have this finite amount of money now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that happened. I think Obama had done something with some of the hospital kickbacks that they would get. I know one of them, it's not specifically HCAPS, but HCAPS, their hospital health scores. If the hospital itself scores so high, it gets so much money reimbursed to them, which fudge the numbers. Obviously, you want to give it out to every patient, but you only want to give it out to the patients that are happy with their experience. And that's not true. And I disagree with that. You got to have the whole shish kebab.
Well, can I ask
how you've been in the medical field for a while. Traveling nurses became a really big thing only really during COVID, because I really didn't hear much about the agency nurses all prior to that as much as they are now. What if we limited or capped how many traveling agencies they're allowed to actually have? Wouldn't that kind of help in a sense?
You mean capping how many nurses the agencies can have, or how many the hospital can actually bring in?
Yeah, how many the hospital can actually bring in?
That's going to be a hard sell, because that's going to be up to the hospital themselves. So if they want to spend the money and not have support, I think part of it is burnout, and then just how people are feeling about that specific workplace. Because if you have 6-month turnover regularly, it's not going to be this, I've been here since the beginning and it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. No one has time to really measure the
schooling
good
too,
against the bad.
The schooling for nurses, because I've seen friends of ours that are in school and they've been waiting for 2 years to do their clinicals.
That's because of staffing. They got rid of a lot of extracurricular programs because they didn't have the money to have the teachers stay on site. The licensing guidelines changed because I think there was a college around here. The college, wanted the vaccinations, allowed the exemptions and whatnot. However, a portion of the hospital, different subsidiary, even though it's affiliated with the school, dropped the ball on something, and the students are in a holding pattern because they required X, Y, and Z, whereas the school only required B and C. Like, completely did not match up. They really screwed it up. And I don't think it's necessarily, I think it's happening in more than this area, but I have not heard how widespread it is.
So let me ask this. What is stopping, let's say I'm a doctor that is, works at a hospital, and I just decide I'm going to go move to a smaller town, open up my own practice, and then begin to treat people in, not necessarily reliant upon insurance, but, going back to the older, like I think Ryan said, barter system, but where, we're paying the doctor, a certain fee for a checkup or whatever, a certain fee for blood work, whatever it is. But what's preventing doctors from privatizing to do that on their own? And the same with like PRNs or any other, nurse type person. What would be the hesitation there?
So if you are a doctor and you want to privatize, how many other doctors are going to be on board with you?
So you would have to do it. You're saying you'd have to do it in like a medical group. You couldn't just be.
No, I'm saying, are you thinking of just you being as a singular doctor pulling this off? So you're willing not to have vacations, and how much time are you going to be on call and for your patients reaching out for stats? And
you probably would want to like partner with some folks, and you'd probably want to at least like one, maybe two other doctors, and then maybe like a handful of nurses.
And how many patients are you going to take?
I mean, I don't know what the limitations would be. I'm just thinking how do we break out of this system that is clearly broken and corrupted?
What's interesting, Ryan, you're the Google master. See if you can find, I want to say it was maybe about 2010-ish. There was a system in Chicago that a bunch of doctors and staff got together and said, we're going to not take insurance, but we're going to be subscription based, meaning you pay every month to be kind of like going to a health club. You pay a monthly subscription, and you can come here as much as you want. You can get the test.
I think that was a conversation. I don't think it actually went through. But
no, it went through. I remember because they got sued by the insurance companies and lost.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I can't remember the name of them, but
jeez, man,
yeah,
it's so corrupt.
Yeah, I think in response to the questions, I'm playing kind of devil's advocate because if you're one singular physician, and how much is going to be that cost for a private practice when you're the only one heading it up right now?
Right.
You don't have any backup, but are you only going to take 15 patients of you personally? Because those 15 patients out of 150 might not need you very often. So then where's your money coming from? Even if you do a monthly thing. I mean, I think we had a doctor out in Oregon that wanted to do that. I think they did. But I mean, if you're a physician, you really need a strong group to go into.
He got slapped because he refused to take the Oregon health plan, which is essentially Medicare. And the reason he wanted to stop taking that is because
they tied his hands.
Well, he said that he lost $10 for every patient.
Yeah.
So by the time he paid his staff for the time that they were there and tests and anything like that, they capped what he was allowed to make. So he actually preferred, because I remember there was a time that we didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
When I was transitioning and I left my job with newspaper. And it was nice. I go to him, and it was $100 flat fee. $100 I give him. He checks me over, whatever my problem is, runs whatever tests he can do in-house. All of that, $100 covered it all. And he wanted to do that for everybody, but the Oregon health plan would not allow him to do it. In order to take any insurance, he had to take the Oregon health plan. And anybody that already has insurance, he wasn't allowed because of law or something like that to not take their insurance.
Yep.
So they've tied everybody's hands on purpose.
I think a lot of, now I just lost my train of thought. Oh, crap. Oh, and the other thing is too. So, $100 to us, when you say, that it's, really good, $100 a month for your doctor for everything. That sounds really good. That's another thing is right now, people don't want to work. People are lazy. People don't want to spend their money on stuff. People are going delinquent on whatever they have. The cash in their pocket is not something, going to the hospital. So this is a significant issue that I'm seeing because people, when you go to urgent care, you usually pay a copay, right?
Yeah.
When you go to the emergency room, do you remember if you've ever had to pay a copay recently in the last 2 years?
I was in the military, so I never really had to deal with any of that stuff.
Thank you for your service, but dang, that's lucky you didn't have to deal with that.
I have a friend that I about went off on because he does have Medicare or Medicaid. Which one's the one that's not for older people?
I don't know. I think it's Medicaid.
I think Medicaid is the older people one.
Oh, it is. I don't know.
I think so.
I'm not old. I don't know.
It's one of the
but either way, the government.
Jamie, look it up. Jamie, come on. Don't you have a Jamie? We need a Jamie.
Yeah, we do. But he was telling me that he doesn't go to the Ready Care because he has to pay a copay even with that.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the ER.
Yep.
Because all ER visits are covered 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
regardless of what they are.
Yep.
Is that for most plans, most insurance plans?
I don't know. It's probably just whatever his is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I know
my state insurance, I work for the state, our insurance plan is very similar to that. If you go to the hospital and you get admitted for one night, 100% of the bill is paid by the insurance. I pay nothing. It's
but
something.
Yeah.
But
it's a good and bad thing.
Then think about this. So my migraines, I have to get, or I should get, I haven't been getting them, injections into my head, anti-inflammatory injections. They have to put me out, or they put me into twilight, they call it. And then they go in with a x-ray and put it between the vertebrae. My insurance will not pay for it because it's not considered necessary. So I would have to, the reason I stopped getting it is because they wanted $2,000 up front. And then I had to go back to the insurance to get reimbursed. And the one time we did that, they didn't reimburse us.
Yeesh. Yeah.
So, I mean, because again, they said, they pulled off all this stuff like it wasn't necessary. You didn't follow protocol. You didn't. It's like, this works. This is something that they did that works. I'm supposed to get it every couple months. Well, when it's coming out of your pocket, $2,000 every 2 months or 3 months.
Oh yeah, no, you'll deal with the migraines.
Yeah.
So actually, it wasn't Chicago; it was California. They had a $70 a month plan for their discounted health plan for their hospital, and it didn't last long.
Yeah. Well, that's because California bills you for everything, so they're probably pissed because they are losing money.
Well, from what from what I remember, they got sued by the insurance company.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Because they weren't.
Well, no, yeah, because
they weren't billing the insurance.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
You know, the amount of people, the amount of people that we have in this country that are already like so reliant on the medical system, and they're so, I mean, we just have a lot of hypochondriacs, and it's already bad enough the way that it is. But can you imagine socialized healthcare when you can just walk in off the street? Any hypochondriac on their own could just go in for anything that they like. Oh, I'm dying today because I stubbed my toe. And the amount of time that you have, people don't realize, like, the military healthcare is like socialized medicine.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I've dealt with for 20 years. Now, yes, it's great that I don't pay a dime there. Yeah, I didn't pay a dime back then when no matter what, I could go get seen for literally anything and I wouldn't pay for it. But the amount of time that you would have to wait and the amount of triaging that goes into, like, it's so ridiculous that I'd rather go out in town to an urgent care place, because at least I know there's going to be less people waiting in line.
That's why they come to us. That's why they come to the U.S. for procedures. They say, I got cash in hand. I got money. Take my money. That's why Canadians travel to us, internationals. Yeah,
I was going to say.
They come to us. The only reason we go to other places is for cheap-ass Botox and tummy tucks.
Or like I took my wife to Mexico to get 2 crowns because we were poor back when I was only 5 or 10 years in the Navy. Yeah. So we drove down to Mexico from Texas so that she could get 2 crowns for $25 each.
Yep.
Put
but
into
that's
her mouth.
The thing is, those doctors may still be just as good as anybody else in the States.
Absolutely.
It's just they don't blow out they don't build the shit out of you.
Well my mom, before she passed away, she went to Mexico and had her whole top teeth all redone. Everything.
Yeah, you could get
for
replaced.
$1,000.
Yep.
For $1,000. And I was like, are you fucking joking me? Well, I was like, this is bullshit,
dude. I would get my teeth removed. Are you kidding me? For $1,000, if I'd get them all ripped out. Get veneers, beautiful white teeth that I don't have to worry about causing me pain. I would do it.
The thing with socialized medicine or any of that, though, and you're seeing that in other countries. You're seeing it in Canada, like Kelly said. We actually get people from Canada coming into Michigan for procedures because they're waiting so long.
They don't want to wait.
Yeah.
They want to live.
The wait is so long. And it's because it's the trifecta that everyone talks about. You can have something, you can have 2 out of the 3. It can either be cheap, it can be fast, or it can be done well. You can have 2 out of the 3. You can have it cheap and done well, but it may not be fast.
I wonder if people from Canada bypass the United States and go straight to Mexico for their dental work.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
I wonder.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a drive,
Good
though.
for them. But you know what? If they got the money and the time,
cheaper and time and less time consuming.
Yeah. But I think
right
overall
now
with
gas.
With gas now, who knows?
Yeah, the flights.
Just get Kylie Jenner's jet. She'll fly you anywhere.
There we go.
But no, besides that, I mean, just randomly talking about the co-pays between urgent cares, ready meds, and whatnot, where you got to pay something out of pocket right there versus ER. It's inundating the ER. And I was going to say, I had to crop a couple things out, but I've got a couple things with dates on them that I sent to Jay that he can post on. But it's affecting. So yeah, of course, we're short staffed. So our emergency room obviously is short staffed on different days and whatnot. And the wait times for some of these emergency room visits and the times that these doctors put requests in for the patients to go to the floors is insane. Now, this does not happen every day, but especially on the days that they're short staffed, these patients are waiting a while. The waiting room patients are waiting forever. They leave AMA. And the other sad thing is we had a spot. It's been better, but there were a couple of times where they didn't have enough nursing staff to watch these patients. So when ambulances and EMTs and paramedics brought the patients in, they actually had to stay with the patients because they were so unstable and they didn't have a nurse to watch over them. So they'd be sitting in the hallways on these patient stretchers with their patients, not on the road, answering other calls. That's a glorified babysitter. I mean, granted, they're still going to take care of you, but that is not their scope. I'm sure they're probably not super happy about it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Are we looking at like 13 hours?
That's 13 hours and 37 minutes. The red dot and the blue dot are both requests for transfer and requests for inpatient bed. So this was August 30th in the emergency room. The bottom ones, you've got 17 hours and 40 minutes, 17 hours and 3 minutes. These are all patients that the doctor has requested to be admitted to an inpatient floor. And then there's a couple other ones, but they don't have nursing staff on the floor to take these patients. That's why they're waiting so long. They don't have the beds available. I say beds available. They don't have the nursing body to watch this available bed for this patient.
So where are they
they are waiting in the emergency room
for 17 hours?
Bed. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's actually another one up here.
That's nuts.
If Jason gets in there. So there's 5 hours, 18 hours, 15 hours, 17 hours, 15, 14, over 5.5, 6 hours. There's another one. Keep going.
Oh my Lord.
Those are the ones you sent me.
Oh,
that's just horrible.
I thought I sent you more, but
and it's not even just the ERs either. Like for example,
there's this.
I hate going to the doctor. Admittedly, I don't like to go. I probably need to go more often than I do, but I just try to get an appointment for a checkup with my primary doctor here now. And I had to wait almost a month just to be seen for blood work.
Yeah, because at that point in time, you're not stat. So, I mean, they try and fit you in the schedule as best as they can, but they're being inundated by their patients. They have doctors that are leaving.
Yep.
They have doctors that are going on vacation. And so they're taking on that patient load. So now I lost my train of thought again. I'm really good at this, but, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating the doctors. They're in turn short with the nursing staff. The nursing staff is not happy. They're trying to discharge this patient upstairs, transfer to an inpatient bed. I've had multiple times where I've looked on our board, on our ER board, and it says, refuse to take report or report attempted because there's no one to take report or they refuse to take the report. That's not the nurse. So this is another one that I sent Jay. Is that they can see that?
Yeah, I don't know if I can zoom in.
Rectal.
Okay.
Wait.
So this is something
61 minutes?
No, that's 61 hours.
Of a rectal bleed?
Yep. This patient came for a
That's
rectal
almost
bleed.
3 days.
61 hours they were in the emergency room. And you see down here, I said 30. So there's actually 2 pictures of this. So this little red dot here, can you hover over that red dot? So the red dot with the little white arrow, that's the second bed request that this doctor put in. He put it in 32 hours ago. The first red dot was, you've got another picture, but let me see if I can find it so you don't have to.
I wonder if the patient laid on his belly with his ass in the air the whole time to make the bleeding a little bit easier.
If they if they enforced him to do that, he probably didn't because there wasn't enough staff to watch him. So the first red dot in that line, so we've got there you go. The original transfer request was 53 hours. And then the doctor put in another request at 32 hours. I mean, these patients aren't, so this patient would be relatively, maybe not necessarily critical. They can be talking, probably not walking, but this is a person that would have IVs. They would have blood transfusions. So this is a patient that really needs, that 1 to 4 contact or 1 to 3 contact with a nurse, especially if something happens and that bleed starts to get uncontrollable, there's a big problem. So then that nurse, that should possibly even be a 1-to-1 depending on how bad that rectal bleed was. But for 61 hours, it probably wasn't too bad, but still, that's besides the point.
Something like that, you think you'd want someone camped in there with them.
Well, you don't necessarily, depending on the status of the patient. Yes, absolutely. If the patient was halfway stable and decent and non-combative or anything and pretty compliant about pushing their button. The thing is, though, when that patient puts their button, when they really need something, is there someone going to be able to answer it really quick? So, and I think another one was, there was, I think, now I got to think. I'm looking through my pictures. Oh, I think I sent it to you too. I know. I'm trying to get my words together too. There was another one that was very short. It's this transfer one, August 15th. I don't know. You might have to scroll through them again. That one. This one doesn't tell you specifically what the patient is in here for, but this patient had a request in to be in inpatient status. It was requested 89 hours ago. 89. So that's over a weekend. So if that patient came on a Thursday or a Friday, guess what? They're still in the freaking ER Monday. This is our staffing shortage.
That's insane.
We have a staffing shortage in-house. We have one of our floors, one of the wings of our floors was supposed to open in June. It never opened because there's no staff, because they don't have money to staff it. They don't have the personnel to staff it. They're not giving incentive to make it look pretty to people, to have people come in. We have a neuro ICU unit, a neuro ICU. So ICU, intensive care unit, critical unit, our neuro ICU unit that has hit, that's head trauma, any kind of brain bleeds, whatever, serious, more, very difficult stuff, has been closed for 8 months at least because they cannot staff it. Our hospital is a 400-bed hospital, and we are censusing patients. Maybe about a good day for a patient census is 250 patients in-house. That's less than half, maybe.
Wow. So I know California and New York did this at one time where they requested the National Guard for assistance. What is it? Are we going to end up see this nationally where all the National Guard members have to go to hospitals?
The hard part with that is the governor has to make a state of emergency in order to call in the National Guard.
Well, and there's not an unlimited resource of National Guardsmen either.
Right.
Like you're only going to get so much.
And not all National Guard are medically trained.
No, I would say most are not.
Yeah.
hence the pickup with the travel agencies. But the thing is, you still want to retain the staff that you have. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, give them a bone, man. I mean, they're a lot of it is burnout. It's burnout. They're tired. They're traumatized. And they know they're not going to have backup when they go there. I mean, it's like, they're going to retire. They're going to find something else to do.
I don't know if this is a good idea. Probably not, because it means more government, more spending. But one thing I do remember, so when I joined law enforcement, the reason I was able to join and get hired in on a contract, basically part-time, is a bunch of us were hired part-time because from the 9/11 bill, they sent out a bunch of money to police departments for the only thing they were allowed to do with that was hire police officers. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so our police department hired a bunch of police officers. Now, 5 years later, the money ran out and they laid everyone off.
Well, I think I understand where Kelly's at is even if the money's there, I think the nurses are just tired because they've been told not to leave their hospital. They have to stay. They're on these 12-hour rotations.
Overworked? Yeah.
And
the
money can be there all you want, but when you haven't been home to decompress as much as you should.
But that was my thought.
It's like fuck the money. I'd rather go flip burgers for McDonald's for $20 an hour.
But that was the thing: is hire more nurses specifically, and this money has to go. It cannot be used for anything else. Although money is fun,
they find a way around that.
Yeah, I was going to say the problem is money is fungible. Yeah. Meaning there's always a way of working around it. Like, hey, this is supposed to go towards paying nurses a bonus for COVID, but instead we're going to put a new extension on the building.
We got a new parking lot paved, and we got some new fancy lights in the OR, and I think we got some new technology updated in some of our computerware systems. But everything is breaking now, and they don't have money to fix it.
Well, like I say,
my wife works at a nursing home.
That's why I say I don't think it's a great thing, but I know, like I say, when I got hired in law enforcement, it was because of this 9/11 bill.
We need honest management.
That, you know, they went out and they said, hey, we got all this money to hire new officers. We're going to hire, you know, rather than hire, I think it was, they could hire like 5 full-time officers, or we could hire 11 part-time because we don't have to pay them benefits and all this stuff, or 12 part-time. And that's what they did, is they hired all us. And then
that is the benefit of the traveling. They don't get insurance benefits from the employer. That's why they're getting paid a higher wage. But like Kelly said, that you're getting all this new equipment from all the COVID money. My wife's employer took the COVID money because the building that they were in wasn't going to pass any more inspections. They weren't grandfathering the old building in. So they took the COVID money plus the money that they had and had a brand new building built. They've already had to shut down one wing, and they have under enough staff that they may close in the next year because they don't have enough people there to pay the bills. And it's like, wow, you get a new building in a year and it closes. Fantastic.
That's similar to what happened. I remember when I got hired in, once the money ran out, and all of a sudden the city's like, wait, we got to pay these officers now. Then they started laying us off, and it wasn't like we all got laid off at the same time. It was like Survivor, like people were stabbing each other in the backs and
actually
doing
I think
everything to save their own job by throwing another person under the bus.
I think you guys, I mean, again, it was bad management, because from what I recall of you telling me was that as far as politics are concerned, guess what? These new hires, well, they're not at the higher rate that all the other guys are in. That are in the union. So we're going to have you cover these shifts because we can afford to pay you cheaply.
That was
which
the other
then
part,
causes animosity between the two
groups.
There was
so much animosity between the two groups.
And it's politics.
They were putting us in, instead of paying overtime to another officer, they were saying, well, we don't have to pay Jason overtime because he's part-time and he's not going over.
Yep. But then we also don't have to pay you benefits, so they're saving money.
Right.
And so this right now we have a dog eat dog world. You're chasing your own tail, despite you have a dog food bowl in front of you. You just gotta figure it the fuck out. But like our hospital right now, I think I had counted back. We don't have a huge OR, but I'd say we had probably maybe about 50 staff members. In its entirety. I'm not sure, that might be way over, but since December, we've had 17 people leave. And that includes nurses and techs, assists, that's really limited a lot of our surgical capabilities, especially availability for staff to the doctors themselves that are used to working with those doctors. Now they have new personnel that they are not happy with because it's not their team that they used to have. We have the hospital doesn't have money to, really afford to pay people. So they're doing what they call hospital convenience, or HC. And we've had personnel leave because they used to be an 80-hour person. Dude, man.
Well, I'm trying to set stuff up. Sorry that you can hear this.
But if you really want me to stop talking, you don't have to be so subtle.
No, when I'm setting up videos, they
is it
play
playing in your background?
That's okay. He's just setting me up to look like I'm having a mental break. This is
that's what husbands do.
Bullshit.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
We convince our wives that they're crazy. We're very good at it. Yes.
So the hospitals.
See,
that's
right
really loud. That's like, yeah. So the hospitals are setting themselves up for failure, at least I think in this particular, area, because they're HCing people. These staff members are no longer 80 hours a week. They have to cash out all their PTO to make up for those hours to take home to their family, to support their family. There's no incentive for them to stay. They're going to leave. And people have.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is, too, they're not HCing by seniority. There's a lot of favoritism going on. It's a lot of political BS. People are not happy. And it's just, medical, manage it. Oh, yeah, it'll get better. Or, we just have to weather through it and stuff like that. And it's just, we've had we've had one employee forum because there's so many rumors going around, and the CEO finally had to say, oh, no, we're going to have an employee forum and stuff like that. And oh, gotcha.
Well, I wonder what the new United States is going to look like. After this.
Well, the healthcare system might be a little different.
Yeah. I think with that, let's get on to something.
Let's talk about what's going on in Mississippi. Speaking of infrastructure failing, Jackson, Mississippi, like Flint, Michigan, has no water.
The governor's water tank?
Let me guess. It's a Democratic city.
I'm sure.
It's not? Wow.
It's not.
Color me
Jackson,
surprised.
Mississippi is not. No, but the thing is, like, it was, from my understanding, that they've reached out and said, hey, this thing is failing. As they were still sending money to Ukraine, we sent enough money to Ukraine to fix not only Flint, Michigan, but now Jackson, Mississippi. So their water.
I was going to say Flint will never get fixed because it's too much infighting.
No, Flint, Michigan, unfortunately, was a lot of bad choices by their leadership. That is terrible.
It's still
this
infighting.
Is just a failed. Yeah, this is just a failed treatment plant. My thing is, this is a United States city that is without drinking water for its town. Why?
Now, I'm trying to read this and catch myself up. Are we talking the issue with Flint was that during all the changeovers and everything, they they had lead in the water and all of that stuff. With this one, is it like people have drinking water, but they have to boil it first? Because there's been a lot of times in northern Michigan where something happens and we have to boil our water for a few weeks because something happens at the
fecal contamination.
From my understanding,
oh my gosh.
Well, the water treatment plant not only does it provide the city water, it looks like it also provides their bottled water. So they're being fucked from both ends, and it's not in the good way.
Very rarely is it in a good way if it's from both ends.
It feels like a human centipede moment, and the water treatment plant is in the middle.
Wow!
But I know there's a handful of TikTokers I saw that they are actually doing a caravan bringing water to help assist in Jackson. And it's sad when it's great that people are taking initiative themselves to do it when the government knows of the situation, but yet aren't stepping in to do it. Ha!
So he has his own personal water truck.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It doesn't look good for him. No, not at all.
Yep.
Not when you have your own water truck, but yet you can't get water for your own people.
Now, that's not to say his name is not on it. It's not hooked up anything directly to his property. It's just sitting outside of his property.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
That could be in a
That
neighborhood.
doesn't look good.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is
could.
That's the hard part with a video like that.
Yeah.
Is that may not be showing.
The aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That might not be shown right. That might be water that they shipped in for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
To use.
Yeah. I think there's been more than one video, but that's the most common one I've seen.
Well, let's not pretend that politicians don't make rules for everyone else and not for themselves.
They absolutely
not for me.
Yeah.
Right.
I forgot about that rule.
yeah, that's right. Well, because you're not a politician.
No,
that's
fuck
why.
That shit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
So they were left.
I thought about getting into politics, but I also remembered I really could go to jail for mass murder of politics. So
you have a soul,
right?
Yeah.
It
what
exists.
the fuck is that?
Obviously you
read
got
my
one.
shirt.
I know. I saw
Read
it.
my shirt.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna make fun of some TikToks now.
Yep.
Sweet. Queen Nancy. Let's see what
Queen
she's
Nancy.
got.
Copying Pelosi's stock moves literally does not miss because she just did it again. Remember when she sold those 25,000 shares of NVIDIA back in July? Well, the literal U.S. government just told NVIDIA that they can't sell chips to China anymore, and guess what happened to the stock? It tanked, and it's now down more than 6% after hours. It is down almost 15% from when she sold back in July. But what's crazier is, if you do the math here, you'll see that she saved almost $600,000 by selling those shares early. And since I was autopiloting her and copying her exact moves, she literally locked in a 20% gain for me because it sold when she sold. To celebrate the win, we're again going to open up the private beta to copy traders. So you know where to find the link and follow for more.
I need to follow that link.
Is it considered inside trading if you're following Nancy Pelosi?
Not
Well,
for
no,
us.
because it's not for her either.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
for
I mean-
it's for her husband's lawyer.
Right.
Did you see that video where he got arrested?
Oh yeah, we played
he
it
got-
last week.
We did that last week. We talked about it. So he got 5 years probation and 1 day in jail.
Mhm.
Well, here's what I
and
will
a
say
fine.
But they
About-
saved $600,000
about the NVIDIA thing, though. I think that that's a very good move, that we are no longer going to be selling those chips to China.
We shouldn't be selling any chips or anything to China.
No,
Like,
well, obviously, I mean, they've already stolen most of our copywriting stuff,
and technology,
intellectual
yeah.
property, technology. So
Yep.
we have to cut ties. I think that that's the biggest problem that we have, is that they have been able, because of our open market, they have really been able to come in and really create espionage within these companies and steal products and market it for themselves. And so at least we're making, that's a step in the right direction, that we're going to stop selling those to China, because we need those here in the US.
Well, not only that, I think if it's not just not selling, but don't forget, most of those chips are actually made in Taiwan. So if we're going to back Taiwan, we can't back Taiwan, buy from Taiwan, and then
sell to China.
and then sell to China.
Right.
So
Well, the funny thing is with Taiwan, there's a bill on the floor right now for us to send military aid to Taiwan, because Taiwan is now throwing rockets at China all of a sudden. So
well,
are we
that's
going to be
great.
supporting two fucking wars now?
yeah. Now, here's the thing. I think, for our own purpose, have to support Taiwan, because like I said,
Yes.
if Taiwan goes down, we are screwed.
Oh
Because-
yeah, no.
If
Well,
you
it's
wanna
been
talk
set
about
back
this
for
chip-
a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll be set back for a while until more places open up here locally.
Right.
But I want to say, what is it, like 80% of the semiconductor chips? The semiconductors that
Made
go
in
into
Taiwan.
chips come from Taiwan.
Right.
So, yeah, we have to defend them. We also have to get out of China especially for technology. Apple still uses, even though they have local plants, I used to work for them, even though they have local plants in Texas now, most of their stuff
I was to say the majority of them
still
are
comes
China,
from
right?
Foxconn. Still comes from Foxconn in China.
Yeah.
So, we can't. We're still in this. What is it called? Economic. Where if you go down, I go
Catch-22?
down. Yeah, but there's a name for it. Reagan came up with it in the 80s when it came to
Trickle down economics.
No,
There it is.
So close.
so close. Oh,
Drew for the win.
Hey, that's the only reason I came onto the show was for that moment right there. I'll take it.
But no, as far as the stocks, I kind of want to do that. I want to see, because I want to actually ask my brother if he did sell NVIDIA, because he put a ton of money into NVIDIA stock back in like January.
Wow.
So I want to see if he did lose because of that, or if he sold.
If he lost and he didn't sell, you might want to do a welfare check on him.
Yeah.
He's probably in tears.
Probably.
Right.
I mean, who
Next
knows?
TikTok.
All right, here's our favorite man again.
People on the left love to call conservatives fascists, but they have no idea what that means. Shoot, even Joe Biden recently called us semi-fascist. But let's look at the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of fascism real quick. A political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual and that stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. Now, let's be honest. Who does that sound an awful lot like? Certainly not conservatives, especially when you look at a criteria being centralized autocratic government. Conservatives are big advocates for states' rights, thus the decentralization of government power. We also are not the party known for forcible suppression of our opposition. Truthfully, excluding the part about nationalism, everything else is a perfect description of the modern day left. They're just not self-aware.
I swear, if I ever get to have him on, I'm going to sound like a dummy.
He's a very smart kid, man. He's a good listener.
I will. He's a trip to watch on TikTok.
That's like his third account too. I swear, like over the last year, I've had to follow him like 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah. I think the thing about the fascism stuff is so there's no logic behind the arguments, because like I just watched a TikTok, it might have been yesterday, where a guy was interviewing a Antifa member / supporter.
I did watch that. I watched that one too.
Did you see it where he's like, well, I'm anti-fascist. Yeah. It's like,
but everything you do is fascist.
Right. Like you're supporting fascism. So
and that's my thing with Antifa is you can call yourself whatever you want, but your actions speak louder than.
Oh, absolutely.
I know a lot of people, not a lot. I know some people that call themselves Christian, yet don't believe in the Bible.
Oh, yeah. Well, just being born in America makes them a Christian,
Yeah. And I'm going, well, if you're not going to follow the teachings of Christ and what the Bible says, you can't call yourself that.
Call yourself anything else.
Right.
Anything at all.
I was a Roman Catholic, and then I didn't believe in the panhandling of the pan 5 or 6 times.
The
tithes, because I questioned it when I was 13, and I said, well, this is it for me. And my grandmother banned me from her house because she's from Italy, and she's like, you can't. And I became a Christian after that, because
tithing is a part of Christianity.
I understand. I'm not disputing the tithe. I'm disputing the 8 times the damn tithe pan goes around.
Oh, sure. And there's churches. There's non-Catholic churches that do that too. I mean, really is just the fallen nature of man.
Right.
Is going to always do things that.
But taking it back to like Antifa.
Right.
Is you can't say you're anti-fascist when your whole way of pushing your ideology is through force.
Yeah, it's the Bolsheviks again. It's the what do they call the party that the strong arm party of the Nazi party?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They're the brown shirts.
Yes, the brown shirts.
That's exactly it. I almost said brown coats.
And then I'm like,
wait a minute, no, that's Serenity.
Yes.
Are the new 87,000 IRS agents the new super soldiers for the Nazi Party for America?
The big thing, SS. I mean, how are they going to get 87,000 agents? We can't even hire 8 people for the Burger King in my town. Like, who's going to go join the IRS?
Because they're going to be given a gun and said you can raid people.
And it's not just people that are able to carry firearms, but also good at math.
Yeah, you're limiting your base there a little bit.
Right.
My wife and I were talking about that. She goes, what if an IRS agent comes to our house? call 911 because they have no right to come into our house. They're federal. They have to go by federal law. They have to contact state and local police before they can pursue anything. So you go, hey, I got a guy pretending to be an IRS agent trying to break into my house.
Right. Yeah, you do it like that one video of the guy that was an ATF agent, but he got the police called on him because he was trying to.
There's other ones where people are walking out with their firearms and like, here's my. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I think that's all
that shit up.
That's what happened to Australia, and look what happened to them.
Yeah,
they got fucked.
Well, they're all prisoner. That's a prison planet anyway over there. Like that's how they got their start.
But they're so nice.
Say Australia was a giant prison.
Yeah, it was Britain's prison.
England didn't know where to put people, so they found an island. Just said, "Here, you live here now."
Right.
Figure it out, and then they created.
It's like England's version of the Gulag.
Right. Yes,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Or like Lost in, or what's the Kurt Russell movie with? Is it not Lost in New York, but
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York. Yeah, you did.
And then
New York.
Escape from L.A.
Yeah.
Yes. So Australia is Escape from L.A. without a cool Snake Plissken character, whatever his name is.
Oh no! Well, you got chlamydia, koala bears, and kangaroos.
That is kind of creepy that koala bears carry chlamydia.
They also will die if they don't. There's something about the way that they eat their food that they easily can starve to death because they can't. Something about where they're unable to do something with their food because they're that stupid.
I just remember Kill Will talking about drop bears all the time, and
that was our friend. That was our friend Graham, aka Killa. God rest his soul. He would call. He's from Australia. He would call koala bears drop bears because he would say if you're not paying attention and a koala bear is in a tree and they're above you, they will drop on you.
Yep.
For no reason. And they could either scratch your face up or give you chlamydia. And you pray for the scratching of the face.
I was gonna say I don't like them choices.
Yeah.
I would rather have my face scratched up than get chlamydia on my face.
I mean, I would rather have neither
themselves. So I mean, maybe their fingernails have chlamydia in them. On them. Just be careful.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna make fun of California some more.
Yep.
Sweet.
So this is an actual news report.
California is restricting residents from charging their electric vehicle. This comes 1 week after passing a ban on gas-powered vehicles. California is in the middle right now of a heat wave, and they are saying it's going to take an impact on the power grid. And because of this, they want people to conserve energy and to restrict charging their electric vehicles. Well, many people are arguing, how is this going to work when by the year 2035, California has a law in place that will limit all gas-powered vehicles from being sold? They want to go to all electric cars. So what is this going to do? How is this all going to work? I want to know your opinion. This is a news story happening today. My name is Dave Bondi. I'm keeping it real. No bias, no narrative. It's not my job to tell you what to think. That's your job. Click the plus symbol to follow me right over there on TikTok.
I don't know why we care about California.
I'm waiting.
They're
one earthquake away from becoming.
The Democrats in Washington do later on.
Right. But why? We should just let them do all of these things. We should just let them do it. Be like, go ahead, guys, go.
Didn't they
do it, buddy?
Didn't Gavin Newsom want to put a wall all around California?
That wouldn't.
I would be opposed to that.
I'd say not only that, just how about you dig some deep trenches and just break California off, let it go float away.
Well, I mean, they're one earthquake away from becoming an island.
I mean, you have a serious tectonic plate right there. Just let it go.
That's the
let it go.
Okay, Escape from LA. That is how Escape from LA started. Is LA broke off from the United States because of a giant earthquake. And when it broke off, they're like, oh, we're just going to turn this into Australia. And
hey, Drew, my whole family was Navy, so I thank you for your service. I want to say that again.
Thanks, bro.
You think the whiskey could detach California from the United States?
Yeah.
I'd say it's entirely possible. But here's my plan. I think we should all, as a country, go to the border of California and I'll just jump up and down. Like everybody in the United States.
It's like
just
hands
jump
across
up
America, but it's hands along California.
Yes. Feet upon California.
The only bad thing I'm going to miss is the California weed from the
we got enough,
we got enough of that in Michigan. Come
Missouri,
Michigan.
Missouri is all about that business over here. So
yeah, I was going to say, I got to find it in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring this up as the next one because this is.
Oh boy, is it a weed story?
Yeah,
we haven't had a weed story in a while.
So, here we go. Let me turn it down a little bit because it's really loud.
Know what you do for a living and show your car.
Okay, so basically this TikTok, I'm going to bring it back to the beginning.
Man arrested after deputy seized 50 pounds of marijuana,
120,000 were
driving around with 50 pounds of weed.
Okay, not even counting that. Okay, I know in Michigan, like if he was in Michigan, that would not be $120,000.
Yeah.
Because weed in Michigan now is selling for $600 a pound.
Yeah. If this is really truly 50 pounds valued at 120K, each pound would cost $2,400.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
You know,
wait, you say you can get a pound of weed for
maybe they cut it with fentanyl.
Oh, there you go. That's what it is.
That's
it's
fentanyl weed. It's gotta be cut with something like that. But...
It's that methy weed.
that methy weed that's really methy in the end.
Wait, did you say you can buy a pound of weed for $600?
So wholesale, the people that grow, that sell to the
dispensaries,
within the last 2 years has dropped from $2,000, $1,800 a pound. Last year it was hovering a little over $1,000 a pound. Now it's down to $600.
Is that because there's so many different farms now?
Yeah, the market is so flooded.
Pennsylvania is hitting that right now where it's flooded because we had 2 new big dispensaries open up and they're growing all within and they've literally flooded.
We have one right next to us that has 5 licenses to grow 5,000 plants per license.
Wow.
25,000 plants.
So how much does an ounce cost on average there then?
At a dispensary, right around, some of them are doing sales for like $30.
For an ounce?
Yeah.
Get the heck out of here, dude. That's insane.
The average is around $50 to $60.
Bro, Missouri, it's $60 still for a quarter out here.
Good Lord.
Right?
Oh man.
A couple years ago.
Pennsylvania is about the same way.
Once within the last couple years, Michigan opened up the licenses for large dispensaries.
Oh,
and
my Lord.
They completely flooded the market. And the other part about flooding the market is they basically these, I want to say it's 5 or 6 dispensary or grows that flooded the market, and it basically pushed out all of the smaller grows. So it used to be Michigan was primarily fed by home grows. You know, people that are growing, 30 to 60, 70 plants at a time. Well, now you take these big grows that are growing thousands at a time, and They just completely, and they made it harder for smaller growers to get licenses. They like.
Is Michigan medical only now, or is it recreational? It's recreational. So you're telling me that you get Michigan $60 for an ounce recreational weed?
Well, on top of that, every person in Michigan over 21 is allowed to grow up to 12 plants themselves.
Yikes!
Pennsylvania right now is only medical.
We're only medical here.
Bill for recreational is been on the floor for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They just never went through it.
Recreational got voted in by popular vote.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm driving through Michigan in October, so I know what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
The one thing about Pennsylvania for the medical growers, you have to have $2 million liquid cash before they'll even give you a license. And it's like, all the small growers are like, can't do it. So you have all the big ones come in and just. That's
what they did in Michigan.
Eat them all up.
Because you have to have so much liquid cash to start up. They changed it because it used to be like the dispensaries were getting the quote unquote overages from the medical growers. So, like you grow for your 5 people, you're allowed 12 each. So plus yourself. So 6 times 12, 72 plants. So then you give whatever you give to your patients. And then whatever you have left over, you sell to the dispensaries. And people were actually making a good living off of doing that.
Yeah.
Because we were talking, $2,000 roughly a pound. So you, out of 72 plants or however many plants, say you grow 10 pounds, that's $20,000. You do that 3 times a year, you're making $60,000, that you can support yourself on. These big grows come in and they flooded the market. And like I say, and it's not that great weed either because they grow them so fast and all of that stuff.
It's mass produced weed.
Yeah. And, so, it's like
it's still really new here in Missouri. We just got in 2020, it got legalized for medical here, and I got my card when I retired from the Navy. That was the one thing I wanted to do because I wanted to get off my prescription medicine. I wanted to get because I have depression and anxiety.
That's what I did it for.
Yeah,
that's what I did for to get off my meds.
Yep, and that's what worked for me. And now I'm at the point where I really only smoke to help me sleep at night. I used to smoke pretty daily, pretty regularly, but I'm at the point where it's like it doesn't have the same. After you've been smoking for a long time, it doesn't really affect you the same way, but it does help me sleep. So that's the one thing I'm grateful for is if I smoke before bed, sleep great.
My favorite one to sleep with is Bio Jesus. And I told my aunt that, who's a hardcore Christian, like hardcore. I said, yep, I go to sleep with Bio Jesus. And she just laughed at me and she goes, that's wrong. But
she doesn't know that Jesus is from Mexico. So that's the Jesus that they're talking about.
It's Bio Jesus.
Bio Jesus.
No. This is,
no, it's Jesus.
I have Jesus within me.
Lord, forgive us.
Yeah.
Lord, forgive us.
I was... Oddly enough, I was having a conversation with our old pastor online about the whole using the Lord's name in vain. I'm like, I think this would constitute possibly that argument.
Yeah, well, you're using it for sure.
So, okay, next one.
I mean,
we fancy like Applebee's on a date night.
Look at this guy. He's taking
it's
like a train.
On the top two straws, one shack, girl, I got
is that a generator?
That's his whole life right there, man.
He's got like an Amigo that he's pulling like a train.
He's got 2 of those little Walmart fat people carts.
Yeah.
And then he's got a whole bunch of other red wagons there.
He's got
oh my gosh.
Oh, look at that. He's got some animals in there. Is that like cats or dogs or something?
Maybe he runs a petting zoo that shows up to your house. I'll come to
there's
you.
the generator. Big giant.
And there's the
fan.
generator. So when his scooters run out of power,
Yeah.
he just turns on the generator. And
Look, he's
plugs
got
them in.
gasoline there. He's got gasoline in the tanks.
Yes.
And you know
Hey,
what?
look.
You know, this guy is probably the happiest he will ever be.
Dude, you don't need a home. You don't need a home to be happy.
He's got
You really
gas.
don't.
He's got a fan for his animals. He's got food.
He's driving
eggs
both
and meat,
scooters
He's got a
with
generator,
two-
and guess what? He probably lives off the land, so he ain't being taxed.
You know what though?
Yeah, he's not paying. He's definitely not paying.
But he's just the fact that he's got like it's a little train. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And those are like
8.
industrial outdoor carts too.
Yeah,
because they have the big rubber tires on them. There, he's going off roading.
Work smarter now.
gotta be
Wait, hold on,
Florida.
wait. There is 1, 2, 3 scooters attached.
Yeah.
He is powering 2 of them.
Well, when one runs out, he jumps on the other one and just gets going.
Yep.
And I love the straps. Like he's got it all strapped together. Oh, that is so great.
You can't look, man. That guy.
that is fantastic.
He used to work. You know, people don't know. He used to work for Tesla. They had to let him go. That's the type of
refused
ingenuity
to go back
that
into work. He wanted to
That's right.
stay work from home.
he said Tesla was
no,
racist.
no, it wasn't Tesla. That was space. That's all SpaceX. That is all SpaceX.
Okay.
Oh, good
Ready?
old Florida man. Let's see what we got.
The birth of Florida
Damn
man.
it.
And that's how Florida Man was born.
What? I did not expect
Wait.
that. Can you play
Hold
that
on,
again?
go back.
That's
Go
gotta be a
back.
rubber. That's a rubber gator.
Oh,
That's gotta be a
yeah.
rubber gator.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
not a real gator.
Yeah, no way.
That is
The
not no.
Well, you see the fake jaw.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Wow, but you know what? At first glance, I was
At
convinced.
first glance,
You notice he comes out with
I-
a beer
I-
first.
Oh my
beer's
Lord.
beer's still in hand. No. What really got me was the dude on the back holding the tail
Uh-huh.
and the gator not rolling.
Yeah.
These are the videos that Russians watch like we watch Russian videos.
The birth of Florida man.
Like,
Yep.
those stupid Americans.
All right. Next one.
Say this phrase out loud for me.
Kinda.
These nuts?
I'm from Michigan. That's kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda?
Kinda. I'd say kinda too. I'm originally from Ohio, so I'm
Kinda.
gonna go with kinda.
It's kinda.
Yep.
It's a
Kinda.
kinda.
Sure. Kinda. Missing a few letters there? I mean, I see the letters, but you don't have to say them. Like, if somebody's like, yeah, are you feeling all right today? You can be like, I don't know, kinda. So you're knowingly saying it wrong. That's what I'm hearing. I mean,
Kinda.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to say you're right, but kinda.
I feel like I have the more of a harder D in there, but I,
do
still
too,
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mine's more spelled Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. Kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. Yeah.
Um,
The word of the day is kinda.
Kinda. I like
that.
although it drove me nuts because when we were in Oregon, I never heard myself sounding any different than anyone else, but they like to point out that my Michigan accent, my Midwest accent,
Yeah.
how I pronounced my A's and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I could
What was-
absolutely start sounding exactly like you because I'm from Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not hard
Well,
when
I
I get
lived in-
around
I-
people from the Midwest to start talking like this a little bit more,
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
high
you
school, my junior year, I went from Maryland, ended up in Tennessee from my junior year to my senior year. So I went and they had no problem calling me a Yankee the entire school year. And I'm like, motherfucker, we all know Maryland is stuck in the middle, so fuck you all.
Did you have a
And they're
New
like,
England
"Where's
type
your
accent
southern-"
though? Were you a little bit like Bostonian? Do you have any of
No.
that? No, really.
No. I have no idea what
You
the
don't
Maryland
park the
accent
car in the
sounds
garage.
What's that fake New England accent that they used to use in old movies? There was a name for that.
Oh, the Atlantic accent.
Yes.
The Atlantic accent.
What do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about?
That was more of the accent that I had, was more of the Atlantic accent.
Well, I come on down here to Tennessee, you know?
Yeah. Fucking
I was going to say you guys should do a video where you actually give them words from Oregon and have them pronounce them.
Oh, Klatskanai.
How do you pronounce this? Neocani.
Neocani.
Oh, yeah. Well, the same.
How do you pronounce Oregon?
The first time I got there, Kelly, I'm talking to her on the phone, and she asked where I was, and I'm like, I just passed the sign. I just glanced at it, and I'm like, I think I'm at a place called Klatskanai.
I lived in Washington State for 6 years, so Snohomish and Wenatchee and all the Algonquin names.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
The play on words was like Passamaquoddy.
Yeah. Snoqualmie. Like, get out of here.
Snoqualmie, yeah.
I mean, we have like Michigan Native American words here, Ypsilanti, Tequamanon, stuff like that. But
oh my gosh,
we've got hell in paradise.
We do have hell and paradise. Actually, my in-laws are from hell. Again, I'm allowed to say that.
Fantastic.
My in-laws, Kelly, my wife, is from hell.
Well, where I live in Missouri is right next to Independence, Missouri. I'm in Blue Springs, but Independence, Missouri, little known fact, is where the Mormons think that Jesus is coming back at.
Really?
They built a temple there. The Mormons have a temple to prepare for the coming of Jesus, whatever Mormon Jesus they believe in.
Of every place he could choose, he chose Missouri.
Independence, Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, we have a our government.
That because
Maryland's got you.
Guy talked to a rock.
It was the for the Mormons, you mean?
Yeah.
He found some gold tablets delivered by the angel Moroni, and that's where they get the name Mormon. Is Moroni or Moroni? But Joseph Smith, he was he was a big part of here in Missouri.
So, all right, let's talk a little bit about the 80s.
MacGyver! Where you only need duct tape, zip ties, and a can.
He's got a mullet and he's a heartthrob.
You can't talk during this.
So there's this chemistry and physics major, and he's crazy smart. He's got a mullet and he's a heartthrob because this is the 80s. Well, one day, he saves the life of this government guy with a paperclip, a wrench, and some shoelaces. So he gets hired on as a guy who can save people with things like shoelaces, I guess. Anyway, he travels all over the world and fights crime. And what makes that really hard is he hates guns. He doesn't even want to touch guns. And every situation he's in definitely calls for a gun. But he sticks with paperclips and shoelaces. And I know what you're thinking. Paperclips and shoelaces are not that potent a combination. Well, watch this. Never mind.
That was actually a really well edited and thought out TikTok.
MacGyver. Well, look, MacGyver was so good that we now use the term MacGyver.
Yes, I'm going to MacGyver it together.
Yeah. I mean, there's kids growing up that don't have a clue who MacGyver is. And yet they'll use the term.
One.
Right. Oh, yeah.
They have the new one.
Oh, did they have like an actual MacGyver?
Yeah, they
did. A younger MacGyver. Yep. They had 5 seasons. They canceled it, but
man, I didn't even know about it.
I figure
didn't miss much.
So here's the thing. I loved MacGyver growing up. Loved it. Like I had to watch even after it was on regular, when it got on to syndication on like USA or something every day. It was like I had to be there and I had to watch MacGyver to see what he's going to do. I had my little MacGyver kit, which was basically, duct tape and shoelaces and
paper clips.
And I was going to get myself
and bubble gum.
And bubble gum.
A belt.
But here's something that I did learn. Here's something I did learn later on, though. after the first season, because everything in the first season, they actually had on like physicists and stuff to help make it the stuff that he did, because people were doing it at home and getting hurt because of the stuff that he made, because it actually worked. They had to start having him make stuff that theoretically could work, but only if the circumstances were 100% correct.
Oh, geez.
So that I found that kind of interesting. I didn't know that until.
So if you want to know what MacGyver really did, watch the first season.
Yes. Yeah, the first season was actually real.
MacGyver.
Yeah. Yeah, the new MacGyver. Actually, I had a friend that worked on the new MacGyver the first couple seasons. He did lighting for it. And he's like, oh, yeah, like 80% of the stuff he did was CG'd in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. Figure we'll go on the 80s throwback since this guy does really good. By the way, I love his name. This guy is at AARP. Because
what a good name.
He actually is an AARP member, which makes me want to get an AARP card, because in their thing, he mentions in his TikToks, like in an early one, that you don't have to be a certain age to become an AARP member.
You don't.
No,
so you can. Be,
I get the letters all the time.
I do too, and I always just throw them out. But you can sign up for it, get all the discounts and everything, and not have to be like 60 years old.
I'm gonna do that tonight.
That is my goal this weekend. Join AARP.
So this is him explaining the greatest American hero. Do you guys remember that show?
I do. I remember the theme song is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Explains the 80s. So there's this goofy high school teacher with great hair, and he's been put in charge of this violent group of troublemakers. So one night he drives them out to the middle of the desert by himself, and then this FBI agent nearly kills him with his car, and then this UFO comes down. Yeah, that's the same show. So this UFO comes down, and somebody comes off and gives him a set of super pajamas that basically make him the most powerful person on the planet. But he loses the instruction booklet in like 5 minutes, so he doesn't do any of it very well. He's also got this girlfriend,
you know what's funny?
a brilliant attorney, who's also
wait till after.
Very patient. And luckily, this one works out a lot better than his last girlfriend. Anyway, even though he doesn't know how to use the super pajamas so well, he and the FBI agent who nearly killed him and his brilliant attorney girlfriend, they all go around and they fight crime. Oh my Lord. The theme song to this one? Mwah.
It is. I agree. I think that's one of the best theme songs. It's up there with Cheers for me.
Oh, yeah. Cheers is another good one.
His chest plate looks like what the Red Lanterns from the Green Lantern scene, the Red Lanterns, what it turned into.
It does. I agree.
Because it's really fucking close.
It also kind of looks like the Babylon Bee logo.
Yes.
It does. Oh, I never caught that before.
The only thing I got to say about that in reference to both of those 80s videos, so an FBI agent got together with MacGyver and discovered him because he was saved by him. And now we got another FBI agent. I was like, what the hell is up with... It's got to be the same FBI agent. Like, what the hell?
Well, you know that in the 80s, in order to get any type of show or anything, it has to be an FBI agent discovers you.
Yeah,
those FBI agents
sense.
In the future will be the ones that raid Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
Oh, do you have the Monty Python Mar-a-Lago excerpt that I sent you? I'll send it to you right now. I'm sorry. Please. Please. Oh.
Monty Python with Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, I'm going to have to...
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to...
I'm sorry. I sent it to you. I swear to God I did.
I wonder if maybe I couldn't download it or something. Otherwise, it would have showed up.
Okay, let me find it. Oh my God, it's so good.
So, just because... Well, you know, you post stuff. I don't post. You have to actually like set that up and say, yes, people can download or share on TikTok.
Right. You can control people's ability to stitch your stuff, to duet it, to download it, to even leave comments. So it's pretty good. I've not been on TikTok very long, and I figured it out.
I saw that because I set up our page. I just haven't done anything yet. Where you could actually set the comments to those that you follow to actually make comments now. I was like,
oh,
that's a way to get rid of the trolls. You
yeah.
just friend all the people you want to have communications with, and when you know the people that are being trolls, you just like, I'm not following you back, and you can't make comments, so fuck you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just go by my theory, the same theory I use with Twitter, which is I'll post stuff and then never look at it again. That's the Joe Rogan.
I wish I could do that. I wish I could, but I have to read the comments.
So, all right. So this one is good.
If someone ever approaches you and tries to rob you, tell them to stop. Ask them, is it necessary? Is it nice? Do you have my permission? Tell them that you do not want to be touched. If they point a gun at you, tell them that it's illegal.
This is
solid
a
evidence,
example. This is a perfect example of the SEL learning that they are now teaching in schools.
I mean, obviously, this is a
social emotional learning. I mean, this is
all I'm
the
thinking
basis
of
of
is
this
the old
a perfect
YouTube.
example.
This is obviously
the
a parody.
when I watch
but-
this,
I'm being
when
sarcastic.
I see that is, don't touch me there. This is my no square.
Oh,
No,
jeez,
don't
my
touch me
son!
there.
Damn it,
My son
Ryan.
plays that all the time. You're used to. He doesn't do that anymore.
I have to say it's catchy because at least he remembers it. And he feels confident enough to actually sing it out loud.
I'm still prepared to stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Remember Dare, drug abuse
my
resistance?
daughter
Like,
loves
they taught us
chicken
how to
wing.
do drugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is it?
Like cops come into the school. I'm in 3rd grade. Here's the drugs that you're gonna start using,
Dare.
and here's how to do them.
I love that. Good old Dare. Good old Dare. I don't think I have my Dare. I had my Dare shirt, and I wanted to give it to my kid, just to let him go to school with it, just to see if the teacher would be like, "Where did you get that?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I need to convert that video that you sent me, so let me play another one.
Jesus.
I don't know what this is.
You should actually read more than headlines. While reading is key, comprehension is required.
I love this guy.
Everything they read, or hear, or see. It doesn't take too much critical thinking to understand what's being said, which is akin to a puff piece about how they worked tirelessly to influence what you're going to think and what you're going to do come election day. So when you push false narratives such as Russia-Trump collusion, the Steele dossier, the Muslim ban, Mexicans are rapists, very fine people, never condemned white supremacy, the Russian bounty, the reason for the Lafayette Square photo op, 15 days to slow the curve, dismissing natural immunity, dismissing the Great Barrington Declaration, no vaccine until after the election, or my favorite, Trump is a fascist. Such a fascist that he used the pandemic as an excuse to take over the country. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. But I bet you still believe he's a fascist. Why? Because you read it somewhere. Or because Biden told you.
Yeah, I actually speak to this guy pretty regularly, man. He's a good dude. He's a retired Marine. He was an Intel guy, so he's very good at data and disseminating information and kind of making it make sense. And so he's a good follow.
Yeah, I think that's why I followed him and why I saved this one is that he just the way that he very concisely put that in. Cause
He's already had his account cut, and he's already back. Like, yeah. But no, I know we talked about it, Jason. We talked about it a few episodes ago. Back in 2013, Obama retracted the executive order allowing for the government information just to be able to be pushed to mainstream without the news anchors having to say the federal government is saying this, this, and this. So that's where a lot of the mainstream is being able to push the federal government's narrative without saying the government's telling us to do this.
Okay, so again, I worked in news. I went to school. I studied broadcasting and film. I worked in news from the time I got out of college till not that long ago. I worked in both television and newspaper. Most of what they get is literally from the AP and CNN. So they set up contracts with the Associated Press and with CNN. And anything national that isn't like hyper local is basically them. And there's been many a times where they literally get the entire script. The script is sent down from CNN to us, and they'll have different versions of it. Do you want a 2-minute script? Do you want a package? Do you want this? And they'll bring it in, and we just regurgitate it. It comes in. We basically take the stuff that they send us. When I was an editor, I would re-edit and basically reshuffle the shots so that it didn't look like everyone else, but it was all from the exact same source. So, all right, one last one, and then we'll wrap it up. This is the one Kelly wanted to share.
Sounds good. It's good. Monty Python's a good one to end on.
So
this was good.
Hello, who is it? We are from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Whose castle is this?
This is the castle of Donald J. Trump. This is Castle Mar-a-Lago.
Go and tell your master we have been charged by God with a sacred quest. If he gives us food and shelter for the night, he can join us in our quest for secret nuclear codes.
Well, I'll ask him, but I don't think he'll be too keen. He's already got one, you see.
What? He says they've already got one. Are you sure he's got one?
Oh, yes, he's very nice.
I told them we already got one. Well, can we come up and have a look?
Of course not. You are federal types.
If you do not show us the code, we will take your castle by force.
You don't threaten us, FBI pig dogs. Go and boil your bottoms, son of a silly person. I'll blow my nose at you, so-called FBI. You and your federal niggets.
If you do not agree to my commands, then I shall take...
I need to rewatch Monty Python now. That's such a great movie. Oh man.
I honestly, I was really hoping it was going to be the Black Knight, but that's even better. I was really hoping the video was going to be the Black. When you said Monty Python, I was like, it's got to be the Black Knight. They've reworded the Black Knight scene, and I forgot about the castle scene. And then, as soon as it got to, I was like, wait, they're going to launch a cow. They're going to launch a cow.
Very well done. Thank you, Kelly, for bringing that up. That was worth it.
You're very welcome.
That was fantastic. Thank you.
You gotta close this out, Ryan. I can't talk right now.
I got it. So,
Knights of the Round Table. I'm joking.
Thank you for hanging out with us for episode 46 of Fire Talk Radio. Please check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Email us with our conversations at firetalknetwork@gmail.com or call it in at 814-380-9820. Always remember, Psychostick is our friends. Again, check us out on YouTube and now on Rumble. Hit the subscribe and check us out there. I got nothing else, and we will see you all next week.
Thanks for joining us, Drew. Oh, don't forget to check Drew out on TikTok. What's your name
at Drew Breaks the News. That is my political satire channel. And I also have a theology channel called Doctrines of Rad. It's a podcast that myself and a friend Logan do where we just talk about Christian theology. So I would love to see people there hanging out.
All right. Now another one I need to subscribe to, Kelly. All right. Thanks, guys.
I was just say that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
We can only count to four. We can only count to four. We